guys, welcome to the Avocado Gaming Station. Thanks for stopping by. Today we're taking a look at some of my favorite games for the year of 2020. Here we're going over Super Mario All-Stars for the Nintendo Switch. This game's a lot of fun. It has classics like Mario 64, which brings back a lot of memories when I got my first Nintendo 64 gaming system. Definitely a lot of fun. It brings back a lot of memories. Looks really well polished, you know. I would have wished the graphics would have been a little bit more upgraded, but overall it brings back a lot of memories. If you've never played this in the series, I would recommend that you check it out. You're definitely going to have a lot of fun with it. And it's definitely going to be a great experience into the first 3D Mario game that was made. Now we're going to go into the other game in here, part of the collection as well. Switch over and intro screen, and then we go into Super Mario Sunshine. Now, believe it or not, I was not a fan of this game. I did not purchase this game when it first came out for the Nintendo GameCube. It was definitely a game that it just didn't call my attention like any other Mario games in the past. So it's definitely something that I kind of neglected getting or playing for the longest time, but now with the Switch, it definitely makes sense to dive in and play it and have the collection. By the way, I'm not going to take any credit for all the stars you see, as that is one of my oldest son's file, who has all those stars. He has completely beaten these games to really, basically there's nothing else left to do in these games, so it's been really good. And then we're going to go on to the third in the collection, which is going to be one that I really enjoyed, and this one I did play. And again, no credit for any of the stars or anything that you see here, because it is not my files. These are my son's files. And he's just doing the gameplay for me as I do the commentary. So this is going to be Super Mario Galaxy. I know a lot of people wish that Super Mario Galaxy 2 would have been included in this. I think that would have been neat. Maybe it'll be some DLC, but definitely a great looking game. This looks amazing on the Switch. I don't think a lot of people, can appreciate this when they're watching a trailer or maybe somebody else's gameplay, but seeing it on your TV definitely brings out all the colors, makes all the images pop. It looks great. It looks very shiny, it looks very polished. I think they could have done more, but for what they did, it definitely is a beautiful looking game. Probably has some of the best music. And as you notice, there is no music in this background. This is probably just gonna reason of copyright issues. Definitely don't want to get any trouble with Nintendo. Much respect to them. Love their games, but this is basically a great collection. This is something I would recommend. This game is gonna be gone from physical form coming in March. I would highly recommend that you pick it up and dive into it as a Mario fan and as a collection to add to your Switch library if you are into physical games like I am. Alright. Another game that I would recommend for 2020 is going to be Shantae and the 7 Sirens. This game has some beautiful platforming Metroidvania style gameplay. It has beautiful graphics, as you can see, vibrant colors, very detailed landscapes. One of my favorite looking games for 2020. Another great thing about this game, it has some beautiful animated cutscenes that I would personally love to see an animated series in that style. This is a game that I would highly recommend to pick up in a physical form if you can find it. Another way to get it would be digitally, but I'm a physical games person, so this is one that I definitely would want to have physically in my collection. Highly recommend it. Hopefully you can find it. I got mine from Limited Run Games, but you could probably find some from third-party sellers or possibly on eBay. Another game that I would add to my list of 2020 favorite games is going to be Streets of Rage 4. This was another Limited Run game that came out. You can probably still find a copy of this at Best Buy. Definitely a beautiful game. It's hand-drawn, beautiful graphics. Again, all the neon and everything on here, the music is just spectacular. brings back a lot of memories. Streets of Rage was one of my favorite games in the Genesis era, and I still play some of the old school ones all the time. And having this one to play now with the old school flavor mixed in and the new gameplay, new graphics is just phenomenal. It's a very beautiful game. I've played through it a couple times. I've beaten this game, and I definitely want to keep playing it to unlock all the retro characters and retro costumes and stuff like that. It is a fun game. Highly recommend it. If you can still find a copy from a third-party seller or Best Buy, highly recommend you pick this up, add it to your list. If you've never played beat 'em ups, this is a great way to start or introduce you to beat 'em ups. It'll probably get you into some classic beat 'em ups that you want to pick up for a Switch or even PlayStation. Highly recommend it. Awesome game, beautiful graphics. I hope they make a sequel to this with even more stages and more characters. But I have no complaints. This is probably one of my favorite games of the year. Another one of my favorite games that I added to my list of favorite games for 2020 is going to be Ori and the Blind Forest and Ori and the Wilderness. I've only played the Blind Forest, but I have to buy both because I have read, seen, and heard so many great reviews, and I can tell you right now, none of the reviews are incorrect. All these reviews are dead on. The game is gorgeous. I apologize that my recording device does not do it any justice to show you how gorgeous this game is, but trust me, it's one of the most beautiful games I have seen and played on the Switch thus far. Aside from that, it is challenging. It is a tough game. I'm only in 10%, but I have seen that it is a lot more challenging than the Rayman movie, and overall, I am enjoying the experience. I'm also enjoying a lot of the story, which I heard is very heartfelt, and another beautiful thing about the game is its music. So if you have a chance to pick this up physically, I would recommend go to Best Buy, or I Am 8-Bit is also selling it, and that's one of my top picks for 2020. Another great game for 2020 that's one of my all-time favorite games, basically, is Final Fantasy VII Remake. This is a game that I hold dear to my heart. It is one of my favorite games that I played when I owned my very first PlayStation. I still remember that I went to EB Games at my local mall for the midnight release of the original when it came out for PlayStation. I still even have the shirt that they gave me with pre-order bonus in perfect condition. This game has a great story. The music is unforgettable. It's beautiful, and it's got some of the best Final Fantasy VII characters of all time. That's not to say that none of the other Final Fantasy games don't have any great characters. They do, and they are also my favorite. But out of all the Final Fantasy VII is my favorite. It's a top game that I hold dear to my heart, and I just can't wait for part 2, part 3 of these. And if I have to wait another 10-15 years for it, I'm fine with waiting, because they did an amazing job with this one, and it was definitely worth every bit of it. Graphics, music, again, and gameplay. I know some people a little bit different about the gameplay, and they didn't really like it, but me personally, I adapted to it pretty well, and I think it makes sense for a remake. You definitely don't want to bring something with an old formula. You want to basically innovate the gameplay and make it better. This is one that I would recommend. If you can get your hands on a collector's edition, definitely do so for a stainless steel book. If you get the collector's edition with the Cloud figure, that's probably going for a pretty penny. I just chose the definitive edition with a steel book and a small hurt book. That's the one I would probably pick up. If not, just pick it up on its own. Definitely a great game. Another of my favorite 2020 games is going to be Astros Playroom. The best thing about this game is if you get a PlayStation 5, it comes on there automatically loaded. This is a game that I would recommend to anyone playing when they first get their PS5. One of the main reasons, it helps you appreciate the technology and innovation that went into the design of the DualSense controller. It helps you experience every aspect of what makes the DualSense such an amazing controller. And I hope that the creators of this game really make this their Mario-esque for the PlayStation universe. This game is great platforming, it's very challenging, it's got a lot of Easter eggs, and it's something that I thoroughly enjoyed over and over again. Graphics are beautiful, very bright, very neon colors, I love all that stuff. And it's something that you get for free again, like I said, on your PlayStation Preloaded. Definitely play through this before you play any of the other games on my 2020 list, as you will experience what a DualSense controller can do. And hopefully all the developers take note of that and implement a lot of that into the future games that come out for PS5, because I can't imagine playing other games without that technology being implemented in there. One of my favorite superhero games came out again for the PS5 this year, and it was SpiderMan. I did not get this game originally for the PS4 at the time. It was something that it didn't caught my interest at that moment. It was something I did want to pick up, but once the PS5 was announced and all the games that were coming out for it, including this one and the Miles Morales game, this is definitely a game that I knew that was going to be my first buy for my PS5, especially with the ray tracing and everything. This was on the top of my list as the most desired game besides Demon Souls, but we'll get to Demon Souls later. This game is gorgeous. This shows off the ray tracing and all the power of the PS5. And as you can see right here, as I swim through the city, you can see all the reflections. I am playing it on fidelity mode. This is the mode that I prefer to play the game on versus the 120 frames per second. It's just gamer's choice. You know, some gamers like the 120 frames per second. For this game, I definitely wanted to admire all the beauty. And what's there left to say except it's a Spider-Man game, and you really do feel like you're a neighborhood-friendly Spider-Man in this game. A lot of missions to complete, a lot of side quests, the DLCs included. If you get the complete edition, which has the Miles Morales and this game, you can just get Miles Morales as well, but I would highly recommend play through this as it ties into the Miles Morales game. It's a beautiful game. The controllers work great. I really enjoyed how everything is very fluid, especially the fight sequences and all that. It's just, I can't get enough of this game, and I still play it even though I've already beaten the main campaign on Spider-Man, and I'm working my way through the Miles Morales. I'm halfway through that. So definitely a game that if you got a PS5 or if you're planning to pick one up, this is the first game you should buy on the system. Another one of my favorite games for 2020 is going to be Demon Souls. This game, I didn't play it on PS3. I had heard a lot about it, and I wasn't into these type of games at that time. Once I played Bloodborne and Dark Souls, definitely started liking these games a lot. These games are very tough, very challenging, and it's something that you definitely have to keep in mind when playing this game, that you're gonna die. You're basically gonna get killed over and over again. And it is a challenging game that really makes you believe in yourself as a gamer once you accomplish certain tasks. This game is gorgeous. It has some really great graphics. The gameplay has been refined, and overall, it's one of my favorites. It's another must-buy game for your PS5 system. But keep in mind, if you like a challenge and if you're ready to basically get destroyed by the enemies. And we get to the last and my favorite game of 2020 is going to be The Last of Us Part 2. None of my games were in any particular order. They are just my favorite games of 2020. But out of all of them, my favorite is The Last of Us 2. This game, besides being beautiful, graphics, gameplay, it has an amazing story. And I did everything that I possibly could to avoid any spoilers when I started playing this, because I wanted to make sure that I experienced this game as a whole, and I didn't want to go by anybody's opinions or all the controversy that was there. So I definitely recommend, if you have not heard of this game, which I seriously doubt, don't read any of the spoilers. Don't go by any of the negative reviews or any of the hate that has been bestowed upon the game. Experience it. If you played the first one, or if you haven't played the first one, definitely play the first one. Definitely experience the game. Part 1, Part 2, all together. Beautiful stories. I can't wait till the HBO series comes out. I'm looking forward to the live action of that for the game. And this is my favorite 2020 game. I hope you enjoyed all the games that I've mentioned. I hope you try the games that I have mentioned for yourselves and experience the beauty, the gameplay, and the graphics of all these games. Thank you for stopping by at the Avocado Gaming Station. Happy New Year.